Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is Rick Martin. He's the founder and CEO of Decaf. They are based in Mexico. And we welcome Rick to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Vance. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
So Decaf's tagline is a global bank on chain, instantly transfer money between 184 plus countries. But maybe you could tell us a little bit more for myself and for the audience at home, what Decaf is and what's the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah, great question. So Decaf is an unusual name. It's it's not like that I like decaf coffee, but it started off with the idea of decentralized cafe. And for the listeners that know Spanish or live in like Latin America, they know that cafe means coffee. So the idea was, actually to use your crypto to buy something useful in the real world, like a coffee. So that's why it's decentralized cafe. The whole idea is, crypto that can be used in the real world. So we started off building a point of sales for merchants to start accepting crypto for payments. And we actually ran the Solana Spaces store, whether we were in New York and Miami at the time, and picked up a lot of volume. But the problem that we saw was no one could get into crypto. No one could actually get like stable coins and pay for things. And it was really expensive to buy USDC, for example, which is one of the stable coins. And just so your viewers know, a stable coin is, a token that's a crypto that's backed by, say, usually like a dollar or a real world asset. So it's 1-to-1, for example, the USDC is with a dollar in a bank account. So you can actually use that dollar as a token on chain. And so a lot of people use that for spending because it's really easy to understand, like, what's a dollar worth? Oh, what's the dollar worth of this? And so we recognize that, okay, well, if people want to use crypto or be on chain, they need to actually get into it, crypto easily, or get stablecoins really easily. So what we recognize is we had to create a wallet, and that's what we are now. We're a non-custodial wallet where you actually hold stablecoins or assets on chain, and you can send, receive, transact, swap, trade, and access financial services.
And what do you guys do differently that sets you guys apart?
So there's like two sort of areas. You have like fintechs, which is like what a lot of maybe your users are interested in. They use like Dollar App or maybe Revolut, or Wise. Some might use, I don't know, some other types of neobank, like Monzo Bank or something like that.
Yeah, and I can tell you Wise is getting worse and worse. Like they're quite annoying.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest complaint I see in your chats is, they shut my account down. They said, like, why are you sending money, or who are you?
They just keep asking for more information. I lost my Mercury account just because they just wanted. They just keep asking for more information. So, yeah.
Yeah, and especially like your community, right? Like, and I'm the same. We kind of sit on the fringes of society. We're not terrorists, but we just look odd to a bank, right? It's like, well, why are you not in the place that you were born, and why haven't you got these, usual sort of predictable things that we're used to seeing? And so you get shut down, really, and people can't use money properly, and and then the other thing is like, so they're using traditional systems, these fintechs. Yes, they've re-skinned them and made them look nicer and brought a bit more competition, but there's no new innovation. They're just using the same banking systems and banking partners and integrations. The difference with Decaf against these neobanks is we don't use those same banking connections. We don't use Swift. We don't use these traditional ACH systems. As we actually run a blockchain, and so it's very, very, very different.
But you can I send money to a traditional bank account, like say in Mexico?
Yeah. So for example, in Decaf, you can apply to have a US routing number, and so I'm Australian, right? So I can get that as well. I can't get a US bank account any other way. So for me, I get this US routing number. And
That's huge.
what happens is when people send me money to that US routing number via ACH or wires in the US, it instantly converts to USDC in my wallet. So once it's in my wallet as USDC, well, first of all, I can hold it, I can trade with it, I can buy other assets, maybe Solana, maybe a tokenized asset, a US Treasury bond or something like that. But I can cash this USDC out in over 180 countries, 350,000 locations in any MoneyGram location all around the world. And I don't know if whereabouts do you live at the moment, actually? Oh,
So I'm between Mexico and Portugal for the most part.
yeah, awesome. So, for example, Mexico, if you ever need to get cash out, like you can do this on a weekend. You can do it at an OXXO, or you can do it as a Banco Azteca, which are opened 7 days a week, and you can get volumes of cash, and you don't even need a bank account at all.
How do I get cash? Because Mexico is pretty cash heavy, so you do kind of need access to cash. I use my US debit cards, my ATM cards, but not everybody has that. So what else? What's the alternative here?
Yeah, so you could just walk in. Well, with the other Decaf wallet, you had USDC. You can just walk cash out. You'd like press withdraw, and there's a button that says withdraw. You press it, and then you can go withdraw MoneyGram, and was one of the options, which is cash. And then you could walk into any MoneyGram location, which is like Trajawi, OXXO, Pharmacy Guadalajara, Banco Azteca, Electra. I don't
any
know.
OXXO.
Any OXXO, yeah.
Because Remitly has this. I've done Remitly before. The fees were kind of high though, but I've done this with Remitly. And that's how I used to pay one of my maids. I had a maid in Mexico that didn't even have a bank account at all. And I'm like, how am I going to pay this maid? Like, it's so annoying to have to get cash every week. So I like kind of got her going with Remitly, and I'm like, yeah, just go to the OXXO and like give them your INE, which is your ID card, and like they're going to give you the money. And she's like, what? They're just going to give me the money? I'm like, yeah. They're going to give you the money. And it worked pretty well.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same principle. More locations MoneyGram has than Remitly, but and the fees are significantly less. So I don't know, your Remitly transmission might have been up to like 10% of fees FX.
It was pretty. Yeah. It was like over $5, I think. I was like, damn, like it's over $5. Yeah. I was actually just because I get free ATM withdrawals, so it's kind of like, well, I don't know. I'm spending like over $5 to send this lady like $75 a week, but whatever.
Yeah, which is kind of frustrating, right? Because it's like the $5 fee that they add on, and then there's also this spread in the FX rate. So the FX rate they give you is probably not like a good rate either.
Right.
But they're taking usually what I see is around like 10%, and if you're doing, and it goes higher than that. Like
I'll take your word for it. I'm sure like the rate's good, and the fees, let's just say, lower than Remitly. So that sounds legit. So you can send you can convert crypto to cash at any OXXO, any Chedraui.
Yeah, and Banco Electra, Banco Azteca, all these places. They're all any MoneyGram. You see the little signs on like Pharmacy Guadalajara at the fronts. You can go pick up your cash. You just need your ID and your reference number. That's it. And I'm just going to quickly state like how big the difference is, because I think, let's say it's like 10% the fee for Remitly. I've seen the fee with the cash out in MoneyGram in Mexico, with all FX included, be as low as 0.3%, which is more than, like
30 basis points.
Yeah, exactly. That's it depends on the day and it depends on the time, the FX rate, but it's roughly around 1%, at max, that's an FX spread. Like there's no fees on top of that, which you're so it is significantly different. But it's just not just cash. The cool thing about that is like if your cleaner lady that you mentioned didn't even have a bank account, it doesn't matter. She just can go pick it up. It's great. We actually have like a bunch of users in the mountains in Colombia that use the MoneyGram integration because they don't have
in the mountains.
Like they're virtual assistants and they're like doing handwritten cards, but don't have bank accounts. But they get sent USDC. They're out in a super rural area. It's like an old Zomac zone. It's like a really, really dangerous area historically. And we actually have a little documentary on it. But they they receive USDC in their wallets, and then they cash out when they want, even though they don't have bank accounts. You're right, and so they're able to work online. They're able to, so it's a really remote area, and there's still a MoneyGram there, but no banks. So it's one of those things where that accessibility to banking is really cool. But we also have the bank ramps as well. So for example, if you did want to just like cash it out to your bank, you can do that too, and the rates are really good.
Okay. So is it like really built on top of MoneyGram essentially, at least that part of the business?
Yeah, that ramp specifically, we call it ramp, is just like the banking connection.
Yeah.
That one is, but we also have others as well. So in Mexico, you can go to really good rates. It's better than Bitso, which has like 10% of all volume of money coming in on stablecoins in all of remittances in Mexico. We have our own. Just you could go to a bank in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, what else? Colombia, and soon Dominican Republic, and a few others for direct bank access. So I use that, for example. I get paid in USDC, and it's the best option I have. It's way better than ever sending money through wires, and obviously you don't have the complications of your account being shut down or anything like that.
What's the other one after MoneyGram, like the second most popular? I guess there's Western Union, and then there's another one I'm thinking of. What's the other one?
There's RIA, Remitly. There's, I used to use a lot of like Revolut, just traditional money sending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess the cool thing is that, let's say you hold a USDC in the Decaf wallet, you can go from Brazil all the way up to Mexico. Like you could walk there, and you could use the MoneyGram at every single stop. And if you had bank accounts, for example, which you probably wouldn't, but if you did have bank accounts in certain countries, or you could cash out as well. So you just have options, and we have a debit card coming, like what Dollar App has, but it's available like everywhere. It's available to anyone everywhere.
This is cool. So anywhere in MoneyGram, like around the world, essentially, like
Anywhere.
Hong Kong, whatever.
You could go to Eritrea. You could go to Afghanistan. You can.
Right. My ATM might not want to work over in Eritrea.
Yeah, we can tell you for sure that it's the best option you'll have in Afghanistan, and if you ever go there.
I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go to every country in the world. So.
Yeah, well, look, the option, like I'm telling you how to do it in Mexico, but like if you go to Afghanistan, the other way you're going to get money into there is like you're going to have to fly to Turkey. You're going to have to like exchange gold or dollars or something like that, and then you're going to have to fly back into Afghanistan with the cash. It's going to be really difficult. Unless you have decaf, then you can just go cash out at a MoneyGram at any time, and you're holding all your money in USDC. So you have that flexibility.
This is compelling. And so you get, and then the other side of so the getting money out or sending money to MoneyGram sounds amazing. Sounds like you really have that dialed in, and I genuinely see myself using this. I actually have to pay my rent in cash when I'm in Portugal because the landlord's so annoying and they don't want me to send a bank transfer because then they get taxed, blah, blah, blah. Just like that classic old school thing.
Yeah.
And with the ATM card, I can't even get that much money out per day, even though I have 2 ATM cards. It's hard for me to even do that. So maybe is there like a limit? Like, is there like a per day or per transaction limit? Like, how much can I get out of the MoneyGram in Portugal?
Yeah, it's usually it changes per country, but usually it's about, and also the liquidity of the location that you go to. So it tends to be best to go to a MoneyGram location that is a bank because they'll actually have the cash on them.
Right.
So for example, if I go to an OXXO and I try and pull out the limit, which is about Mexico's like $2,500 a day per user, they won't have the cash on them unless
40,000 pesos. Yeah, they're not going to have that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot. But you could go to, for example, I needed to buy a car off marketplaces once, right? Like on a weekend. And so I could go to Electra, I could pull out the cash, and because I needed more than 2,500 limit, I just got a couple of friends to also pull out cash as well. And we had all the cash we needed, and we did the transaction actually in the Electra because it was way safer. It was in an area of Mexico that wasn't like super safe.
What did you bought a car?
Huh?
What did you buy?
Yeah, just like a secondhand car off Facebook marketplaces.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so it was impossible to do this any other way. We really wanted this car, and the lady who was going to buy it because we wanted it, and then like someone else wanted it at the same time, but because it was a weekend, we won. We won to win the car because it was like a really good deal, right?
'Cause she
And
couldn't
so it
go to
was
the
like
bank.
she had to wait to get the money, and it took her days. And it's like, oh, and then the guy was like, "No, well, they can get me cash." And they're like, "How's that possible?" It's because we can go on a weekend to Electra and grab all the cash and then do the
Is
transaction.
that from the ATM then?
No, it's from in
The
Electras.
teller?
They have cash there. They usually have a Banco Azteca at the back, and that's a
Uh-huh.
MoneyGram location. So I just walk up to them with my ID, my reference number that I did.
Because the MoneyGram has to be open, right? And there has to be like a human there.
Yeah, exactly. So the
Okay.
cool thing about Banco Azteca in Electra is that it's open 7 days. So you can do this on a weekend.
Mm. And Electra is like a domestic appliance. It's like a Sears sort of, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they have like the
Yeah.
bank at the back. So
Yeah.
they have the like the loans and stuff like that. But you can actually get your remittances there. And it's a really good location because they always have cash, and you can reach the limits.
Okay, cool. So fair to say, like in Mexico or in Europe, like you can easily get like $2,000.
Yeah, and once again, you can maybe get a friend or something, and you just send them a bit of USDC, and then they can do it as well. So
Right,
it's
right.
one
If
of
you
those
want to
things
get
that
more.
yeah, exactly.
Cool. What kind of car you get?
It was a Hyundai. It was like a little like a SUV type thing. It was but it was good. I drove down to Oaxaca to Puerto Escondido with it, and went surfing. I could fit the surfboards in. It was awesome.
Muy bien. So you're a surfer?
Yeah. I love it. When I can, I'm pretty busy usually, but whenever I have a gap in when I need to work, I always head down to the coast and try and surf when I can.
Cool. I'm
What about
actually curious
yourself?
about your story because I do have more questions about decaf, but I want to like switch up the flow here. I don't want to keep just
Sure,
like fucking nailing you with questions.
go for it.
So how did you end up in Mexico? You're in Mexico City?
Yeah, I'm in Mexico City. I'm here because life brought me here. I I've been in your groups. I've been a nomad for a while. I actually originally got stuck in Colombia by on accident because a friend said, "Hey, I'm going to go to Colombia." We were in Washington D.C. at the time, and and she goes, "I'm going to Colombia. My friend has a spare room. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Oh, I've never been to Latin America. Uh, I'll go. I'll check it out." And then went there. Then the pandemic happened. I got stuck there,
Mm,
and Australia was closed. If anyone knows anything, like it
right. You
completely
couldn't even
shut
get
down.
back.
Yeah, it couldn't get back. It was crazy. I couldn't get back for like years. And but by that time, I'd made my life, learned Spanish, everything. Like I'd fallen in love with Latin America, the Colombian culture. Like I don't know, just it felt like home. It became home. I had to make it home. I had no choice anyway. But and then after a year and a half of being in Colombia, I left for Puerto Escondido, the surf town in Mexico, because my friend had lived there for 20 years and I wanted to go surfing. And I also needed like to renew a visa or get a new visa. So I just left for Mexico and fell in love with Mexico and yeah, started a business in Mexico after all these years of learning about how bad money was. Just seeing from my experience I lived with Venezuelans in Colombia during the pandemic and seeing them having to send money back and forth from the
Mm,
US or even into Venezuela. I was just like, this is crazy. I thought that I was frustrated with FX fees and stuff with like, I don't know, Revolut and Wise, but I was like, this is a whole new level of unbanked and underserviced. Like this is just crazy. So I thought, well, could we actually apply this technology or blockchain to this problem? And that's how the kind of the company started, and we're based in Mexico now. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
not an easy company to build, like a financial service with like actual rails, with getting a U.S. routing number and all this type of stuff. And like this is not an easy company to build. What's your background? How did you manage to swing this?
Yeah, it's definitely not been an easy company to build, and it's definitely not been an easy space to be in. It has been just quickly, it's been the shadow. It's been a valley of death because after the FTX, and it's just been like bad actors, blowing up everywhere, and then like the whole world looking upon crypto as just a scam, the blockchain and the people in it as a scam, and they weren't wrong. It kind of was. It was just full of it, and we had to sort of ride that out. And now we sort of hit into this new era where all of a sudden it makes sense. The new government in the US is also realizing the potential of this technology, and we're starting to see it actually be used, and good actors in the space and good use cases. But what was the question again? Sorry, I just forgot.
Basically, just like how did you get into all of this? And I guess what's your background like? Is this your first startup?
No, it's not. I was actually, when I was in Washington, D.C. before coming to Colombia, I was working in immersive technology, doing simulation training in virtual reality, fully immersive with the headsets and everything for like nurses, hospitals, military. And it was still high tech, but it wasn't in blockchain. It wasn't in financial services. But originally I started in financial services. I used to, I did an internship on Wall Street as a sales and trading, and then worked at Bloomberg after years in London, and especially in electronic trading. And I saw financial markets. I saw how institutions move money. I saw the difference between how good the FX rates were in like the banks and the traders versus what retail got. And it was in the period of time where I was in London and Europe at the time where like Wise was just getting started. Revolut wasn't even launched yet. These companies, but I was watching them and I was saying, wow, this is amazing. We're going to change how money can be done, and we're going to see innovation. And it was a great wave of innovation that came out of it, and I was always fascinated in it as I was working in finance and FX myself. But then years later, I saw this thing called blockchain, Ethereum. Originally, I was trading crypto kitties or whatever. Like we were learning about it, but I thought the technology was like had potential to be a global money. Because it's like, whoa, it doesn't have borders, it doesn't see borders, like it doesn't even use banks. It's like, this is awesome, no middleman, amazing. And then I saw like one day I like tried to send like a token or something, or CryptoKitty, I think it was, to a friend, and it cost $50. And I was like, this is the dumbest technology of all time. And and I wasn't ready, but it was like 2017 or the start of 18. And then I just sort of came back out of it. Then once again, back in 2021, after having this experience living and watching finance and money in Colombia, I was like, this technology is ready. It's good. And we saw Solana and like how fast and cheap it was and how easy it was to build. And it was this whole new era. And then also Stellar and all the partnerships that we're starting to make, and with banking and infrastructure and things like that. And we thought like, hey, this is actually ready. This is actually ready to compete with the neobanks of that wave of innovation back in like 2014 and 15 and all that. So yeah, I think it's just the next evolution. But yeah, background is finance and law and international, but then just came back into finance with the technology just recently.
That's awesome. And have you been kind of digging into the Mexico tech scene at, like, I don't know, raising venture capital, meeting with lots of fund founders and banks and the whole ecosystem there?
Yeah. I think it's been a bit tough in Latin America to do any sort of VC funded thing or just technology in general until recently. I think that right now we're seeing a big wave of innovation starting to happen, and sort of this tech community really starting to gain some steam, especially in the fintech area, because of things like Bitso. They have just done 10% of all remittance volume in Mexico with stablecoins this last year. So that's nearly $7 billion that they did just in stablecoin remittances.
Wow.
which is now starting to get everyone to go, oh, why is this happening here? Like, we need to keep our eyes on this part of the world because there's actually problems that need to be solved. And actually the people solving those problems are going to be in Latin America because they have to understand and have to see it and have to be a part of it. So I think the world is starting to catch on, and I think Mexico is starting to see a lot more innovation, a lot more interest from that VC community and the startup community. It's really starting to build. So I'm pretty excited about it, actually.
Okay, so you're in definitely one of the best remittance markets, Mexico. So I guess that's probably going to be a big part of your business or your daily volume.
And digital nomads. It's the number one place for digital nomads too.
That too. So how do you guys make money if your spread or the Forex rate that you're charging is like super, super low and there's like no additional fees from what I heard originally. How do you actually make money?
Yeah, so at the moment, we really want to push trying to stick with the ideals of Web3. Like, how do we make this more sustainable? We don't want to just like replicate PayPal, but run it on blockchain. Like, that's, if we do that, like, who cares? Like, we should just like give up. So one of the cool things is, okay, well, the answer is like we can add fees and things like that, but we really don't want to do that in the same way that like PayPal and these traditional companies like Stripe and everyone has done it. So there's a new potential business model. I'm gonna put it out to you. So Tether last year was the most profitable company in human history. Tether, which created a stablecoin, dollar stablecoin,
Right.
and it has underlying assets that generate yield. So they put in treasury bonds, they put it into like assets that generate yield. And they have a lot of people using their token, right? So
they make money off the float.
Well, they actually make money off the underlying assets.
The underlying assets. Splicing this together, we got cut off, but what we were talking about was just your business model and what the game plan is there.
Yeah.
And I'm partly just intellectually curious, and then partly I want to make sure that you guys have a sustainable business model. I guess you're non-custodial anyway, so no one really has a chance of losing their USDC or whatever. But yeah, maybe you could tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was sort of mentioning that there's traditional fees that you can add on to things like FX, or when you make investments, you take a little bit of yield and things like that. These are some of the models. And also swaps. We have swaps where you can trade and you take yield. That's traditionally what they do. But we really, really want to keep FX like zero. We just want to see how low we can take it and just try and disrupt banking. And the way we think this is going to happen is, well, we get like a little bit of funding from the actual issuers of the stable coins themselves, because we give them volume and we give them use cases as well. And so one day there's going to be a lot of volume that perhaps like we're looking at, actually we're talking to some of the ramp providers like MoneyGram, for example, where we actually use a stable coin where all the revenue of the underlying asset, which is the treasury bonds, goes, the interest goes to us and them. So that actually is a more sustainable model than the traditional system where no one makes any money. Like, you can't trade US government bonds, right? But you can on chain. So a stable coin is essentially like giving you $1 that's backed by $1. But for the actual provider or the platform, there is this money or revenue that can be generated from just these assets sitting in bonds. And this is like really cool, because then we can actually push down the FX fees as well as making money on top of that. It's a very profitable model, which has never been accessible before. So it is a new business model, but it's something that's proven by Tether, which is now, once again, the most profitable company in the world for the amount of employees they have.
And do people have any risk of losing their crypto or losing the money that they see on their Decaf app?
So because it's non-custodial, Decaf does not or cannot touch your money. No one else can touch your money. The person who owns the keys of the wallet, so not your keys, not your funds. In the Decaf wallet, you'll get like a dedicated, public key, but you also have a private key, which is what you can use and take with you anywhere. You can write it down, and you can actually put into another wallet and access your funds through that way. But if you have your keys, which they're your keys, no one else can touch them unless you give them away to someone, which you wouldn't do that. No one can touch your funds. So there are risks, however, in you losing your keys. So let's say, I don't know, traditionally in crypto wallets, people would lose their keys and then they lose their Bitcoin or something like that, right? The cool thing about Decaf is we try and also mitigate that risk of you losing your keys by attaching or splitting your key pairs into 3 parts, and we encrypt those 3 parts with different secrets of yours. So one is to your like Gmail account, like you can log in with Gmail, for example. Then one is encrypted to, sorry, I'm going pretty technical here, but one is encrypted to your PIN code or your secret. And then, so you can only unencrypt that or access that via the PIN code as well. So you need to put at least the majority of the keys back together to receive all three parts to log in without. So you get the free.
No, I get it.
To log in.
So I trust it's encrypted somehow, and you got that figured out.
Yeah.
So let's say I got some money in my Coinbase. Someone sent me like $4,000 in USDC the other day. I got it just chilling there. Can I use that to fund my Decaf account, or how would that work?
Yeah, exactly. You could just go into your Coinbase, send off. The cool thing about Coinbase, by the way, is that you can buy USDC for free. So you could just go into Coinbase and buy your USDC, and you could send it to your Decaf wallet. You just need to make sure it's on the right blockchain, right? Because it's a non-custodial wallet, so it actually runs on blockchain. So you'd go USDC, send it on Solana, or send it on Stellar, because every Decaf account is both those chains. You have two addresses in every account you open. And so you choose whichever chain you want it to be on. You can just send it from your Coinbase account to your Decaf wallet externally.
Because I'll get like a recipient address on the Decaf.
Yeah. You get your blockchain address, and once again, that blockchain address works. It doesn't matter what wallet it's in. That's the really cool thing about like the open ecosystems of being on chain. Like you could send it from your Phantom, you could send it from your Coinbase, your Binance, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all on chain. They all use that same blockchain address, and it's open. It doesn't matter what other platform you're sending to and from.
Okay, cool. And then I guess in the platform, I can see a way to like direct it to a particular MoneyGram branch.
Exactly. We have two buttons that everyone, if there's anything you need to know about it, there's two buttons. There's one that says deposit and withdraw. And if you want to withdraw your USDC, you just press that withdraw button, and then you'll see the options available.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. If you're a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Haltze, author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income by implementing his paycheck multiplication layering method. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond $20K a month. With this method, Rolf contractually guarantees that you'll be able to double your income in 45 days. So, if you're interested in unleashing your earning potential and doubling your income, then click the link in the description and book a call with Rolf right now. Okay, this sounds pretty compelling. One other question I had was, can I get an IBAN for Europe, like the IBAN number?
Great question. That's coming. We're implementing that in probably the next few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay then. Cool.
Yeah. And so, I'm kind of curious about yourself. Like, so why did you become a digital nomad?
Well, basically to escape winter.
Yeah.
I grew up in New England and in Canada playing hockey, and while I do still play hockey when I go back,
Nice.
I just don't like 6 months of winter. I don't like seeing the sunset at 4:30 p.m. and just how everybody's in hibernation mode, and you live a much fuller life when you're somewhere with good weather and walkability and all that.
I agree. You're Canadian, right? And it's funny.
Yeah, Canadian American.
Canadian American. Okay, cool. Both.
Yeah.
It's kind of makes me. I was laughing because like I remember that story. This one town in Mexico on the coast. I heard like nearly verbatim the same story. It's called Sayulita. I went there, and it's just like it must be like one of the really popular like destinations for the Canadians, and that story just came up of I can't bear the winter anymore. I had to go out, get some sunlight, and enjoy life. But yeah, I understand that.
It starts with winter, but then then there becomes all these other reasons, right? Whether it's like the lower cost of living, the better dating opportunities, lowering your taxes, better food. The reason you originally come down for, and then the reason you stay for, sometimes are different.
That's true. That's true. And do you have a place you call home?
Yeah, I got a place in Mexico. I got a place in Paraguay and a place in Portugal. So that's kind of my trifecta. But then, Canada and the US are still home for me, in a sense.
Yeah, true. But so your parents are different from different places. Is that how that works, or do you live?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. One of my parents is Canadian, one's American.
That's pretty handy, huh? I was wondering how you had a US bank account, because that's like kind of difficult to get unless you're an American citizen.
Yeah, so that's my my blessing and my burden at the same time is being a US citizen. I think it works quite well in your 20s because that's when having like a high paying salary is the most important for most people. So, I was a software developer and stuff, and I was working remote, making a US salary, which pays a lot better in terms of remote jobs than, say, a Canadian or Australian or European company would.
Yeah.
But then when you become more of an entrepreneur, and you got the worldwide income tax, it's not so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much do everything through the States still, obviously diversify internationally in certain ways. But when you're American, you're really like incentivized to keep most of your money in the States. So I'll be basically funding my Decaf wallet from can you fund it with cash? Like, can I fund it? Maybe not with like Zelle, but like, is there some way to fund it like straight from my US bank account?
Oh, I mean, yeah, we have that US banking routing number. You can click do your KYC and you'll get a bank number. So you can just, or your bank account, and then you just send it straight to that bank account from wherever. And just one more
so it'd be like a wire transfer, basically.
Yeah, ACH as well. ACH is probably better.
Wire. Okay.
Yeah, it's quicker.
Okay.
It's quicker and better. But the other thing is that you can actually fund it directly with cash without a bank as well. You can walk into a MoneyGram in the US, give them cash, and it will land as USDC in your Decaf wallet if for whatever reason you didn't want to even touch a bank. So just something that is useful.
And since you've mentioned KYC a couple times, for the degens out there, people always ask about KYC. So what do you kind of say to that? Is there certain transactions or certain ways that you can use Decaf without having to KYC?
You can use blockchain without KYC. You just can't access banking connections without KYC. So, you can send and receive, and a lot of people do, and use blockchain however you like. But yeah, as soon as you want a US banking account, you'll need KYC. If you want to use MoneyGram, there will be KYC, but
you could send it to other people, I guess.
Exactly. Like there's some really amazing things you can do that I could tell you about, like how people use it. It's very flexible, especially like considering that when you are using MoneyGram in another location, it's treated as a remittance and then that doesn't require a bank account, which then is not really, you're not going to get taxed locally and things like that, like double taxation and stuff like that. So it's kind of important to know that.
Okay, interesting. And I guess, a related question. So maybe not related, but so BitRefill is a sponsor of the podcast. The ad might have already run by the time people are listening to this. Have you seen BitRefill get used with Decaf before? How would that work?
So BitRefill, we'd love to work more closely with them. So if this is an opportunity for us to engage with them, we'd love to see it, especially if they care about using crypto in the real world.
Yeah. Well, they're a sponsor of the podcast. It's a way where you can buy gift cards directly with crypto. So I guess there's probably a way you could send the crypto from the Decaf wallet directly to the BitRefill gift cards and so forth.
And vice versa. Yeah, exactly. we'd love the opportunity to look at that. It would be a great opportunity for a new ramp integration.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download, or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys. And then another friend of the podcast is Swapido. Have you had a chance to meet the guys behind Swapido? They're in Mexico City too.
No, Swappy. No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's like Rapido, but it's like Swapido.
Huh. No, I'm gonna have to check them out. I actually don't know much about.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't want to say his name wrong. Swapido. It's starting to rain here, and I'm outside. Gustavo Flores is the founder of Swapido. He's actually a Canadian guy, Canadian-Peruvian.
Huh.
He's based in Mexico City, and it's a way to spend Bitcoin in Mexico through the Lightning Network. So I guess I can give you a little shout out offline there, or intro.
Yeah, we love I love the Lightning Network. I used it a bit down in El Salvador with the Bitcoin. So yeah, no, it's good. But we also do love tokenized Bitcoin as well on Solana, because it makes it really easy for us. But
dude, I think I'm genuinely going to be using, like, I'm downloading Decaf right now. Do you have an affiliate thing going? I didn't even check before we started.
Yeah, recording. I mean, I'd love to get an affiliate thing going with you, because I think it's super relevant for like yourself and me, because like we're nomads, right? So this is the reason we're building it.
And as I go to every country in the world. Okay, and then I was also curious, because you mentioned kind of compared to Revolut and why Revolut sucks. What do you get, like? Because I guess Revolut doesn't really integrate with crypto at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, I love Revolut, so I can't like bag on them too much. But there are issues, for example, with their crypto side of things. First of all, it's a complete centralized exchange, and we learned the lessons that you're buying crypto, but you're not really, because you don't know what's behind that system. They're just giving you numbers on a screen, and if something happens, you don't have access to that money. It's just I don't know. It's not really crypto anyway. But and also some of the issues with like wires, where account shutdowns and things like that, or account restrictions are pretty common too. And also just countries that they don't have a lot of coverage. They don't have a lot of countries and a lot of coverage in a lot of places. And when we meet people, for example, I'm sure you do too. Like, you go to Mexico, right? And you're like, oh, what can you offer them? Like a local Mexican, and they can't have Revolut. They can't, especially not in Colombia. Revolut's been trying to get into Mexico.
Right. So this is much more international in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go to Afghanistan, yeah, good luck. You'll never come there. So it's one of those things where the accessibility is just a lot less, and you're privileged because you're like a US citizen plus also Canadian, so you get access to like a lot of things that a lot of people can't. But in your life, you're going to meet other people that need to have access to other sort of systems and that would serve them better. And
Honestly, I see this basically replacing Wise for me because Wise is just like it's like on the fritz. It's weird now. I mean, I really rely on Wise though. Like I like it's like one of my only ways to like pay a lot of my contractors and maid. Like I pay contractors for my business. I pay like my maids and my cleaners too. I use Wise a lot, but it's like it's does weird stuff all the time. Um, Not like sometimes the transfers get delayed and they get like sort of flagged, they get delayed, and then also they're like asking me to update my address like every 2 months, and I'm afraid that my account's going to get shut down and stuff like that. And so as long and is sorry, and just to clarify, is there a way I can send to people's bank accounts directly? I guess if
so that's called third party payments. So that's like someone else doing like sending to their bank account. That's not available yet, but it will be
okay,
soon. And because that's like in crypto world, that's like a little bit more difficult, but it's coming. At the moment, you'd need to do like you'd send it to your cleaner, for example, and then just say, "Hey, press like connect to your bank account,"
because
and you can cash it out. Yeah, but then also if she doesn't have a bank account, or they don't have a bank account, he doesn't have a bank account, they can use the MoneyGram app, or eventually.
how do they connect their bank account?
So we have a button like once again the two buttons is deposit withdraw. If you click on the withdraw, you'll click on the country.
Oh, so I tell them to download Decaf essentially.
Yeah. You can just download Decaf and then you
Okay,
can send it to them via their wallet address. But you also get usernames in Decaf, so you can just send to their username if it's easier. So
gotcha.
and then once they have the USDC, they can go withdraw or retirar if it's in Mexico, for example, and then they will they will click Mexico, and then they'll see their options. They'll have like withdraw to bank, withdraw to or with cash at MoneyGram because they may not have a bank account.
Uh-huh.
And if they do have a bank account, for example, they will click on that and then they will just do a KYC and connect their bank. And it's really easy to connect a bank in Mexico. You just like need that one number, the clave, and then that's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can't pay like a U.S. bank account directly yet, or a
Uh,
Portuguese bank account.
Not yet, but you can pay someone to a US, like, and they can withdraw to their US bank account. And you can also pay to Portugal. We haven't got, well, soon we'll have off ramp. Oh, no, we do have, no, you can. In Portugal, you can pay someone with USDC and they can take it, withdraw it to their bank account. And then also they can get it out in cash and MoneyGram as well. So, like, that's at the moment. But third-party payments are not available yet, so that means you do it for someone else. So that's not available yet, but it will be. It's on the roadmap.
Okay, cool. Well, I know we're running out of time here, but this is all really, really good info. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm so selfish, but
No.
so other than MoneyGram, is there anywhere else that I could like pick up cash from, like a cash point in Mexico or Portugal?
We've got some other partnerships on the way. So in Mexico, you'd be hard pressed to find any location that's a cash point that isn't a MoneyGram. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Portugal, I actually am not too familiar with it. I think I have done a cash out there, but it's probably a little less common. You will probably want to use banking systems because Europe is really banked and they use banks, so it's not quite as useful in Europe than it is in Latin America. The cash stuff.
Uh-huh.
We do have other
No, I found
partnerships
some. I
coming,
found
but
some.
bank ramps are probably your best in Europe, and then MoneyGram is literally everywhere. And the last thing is there is a card coming. There is a card. We're going to have a debit card, but remember this is like unlike Dollar App. This is for like everyone can have access to this card. So, but the same thing, you can use the cash ATM once you have the card.
Huge.
Yeah.
Dude, this is huge. I think this is going to solve a lot of problems for a lot of people, especially people like you said that don't have access to the US ATM cards and some like because the US does have some good stuff, but everyone else is at like a huge disadvantage in terms of their options. And I think this seems to have genuine use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just sort of like leave one sort of idea with you. It's like it's going to be useful for you, but like it's way more useful for someone who you might come across in like Colombia or Latin America, like anywhere in Latin America or even Africa or Middle East or something like that, and they want opportunities to work online, for example, or get paid by a US company, and you know, they can't have a Revolut or a Wise account. It's not even in Ambit, or you want to pay someone down in those regions. It's like, this is really useful for them, like unbelievably useful, because they don't have those other options that you have. And so I just want to like leave that idea there for you.
Totally. No, this is awesome, man. So the website is Decaf.so.
Yep. New one's launching next week.
What's launching next week?
We got the update to the website, but yeah, that's it. That's Decaf.so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It'll be out by the time this comes out, because it'll come out maybe 3-4 weeks from now.
Awesome.
Okay. Cool, man. Where else can people find you? Any last message you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, all of our updates we put on Twitter, so you can follow us at Decaf_so, and just our website Decaf.so, and we have a documentary coming out about how we're using the payment system for migrants and refugees in Mexico, coming up from all around the world. So that's coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. I think it's pretty interesting.
El documental.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The documentary. Cool, man. Well, dude, thanks again for doing this. This is really interesting, and you really opened my eyes here to a tool that is now definitely part of my tool belt. So again, our guest today is Rick Martin, founder of Decaf, Decaf.so, Decaf wallet, making crypto practical for real world use. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Ciao for now.
Thanks, Vance. This is awesome.